Welcome back. In the last video, we left on the cliffhanger of a question: what is a machine learning research paper? Now, rather than talk about this out loud, let's actually have a look at one. So if we go here, this is the VIT paper or the Vision Transformer paper, formerly titled "An Image is Worth 16 by 16 Words, Transformers for Image Recognition at Scale." And of course, if you don't understand anything of what's going on here, feel free to pause the video and search it up. What is a transformer? Machine learning. Transformer, machine learning model. Here we go. We've got transformers. We have a transformer is a deep learning model that adopts the mechanism of self-attention. That's really important. So a convolutional neural network will use a convolutional layer, but a transformer is typically an architecture that uses self-attention. And if you want to learn more about that, you can read up on that as its main learning mechanism. So we're going to be focused on building a transformer with PyTorch code rather than talking about the nitty-gritty of what each layer actually does. So differentially weighting the significance of each part of the input data. It is used primarily in the fields of natural language processing, NLP. In fact, that's where transformers were first introduced, and computer vision, which is what we're going to be doing. We're going to be using a vision transformer, so a transformer for computer vision. I'll let you read more up on that if you like. This is a machine learning research paper, and if we just scroll through this, we have an abstract which gives a little overview, a one paragraph. We have an introduction which maybe talk about what the problem is and what previous research has done and what this paper suggests they could try and do. Oh, there's related work. Okay, so there's some related work to the problem. Then we have a lot of figures. Sometimes we describe a model with visuals rather than just text, because I know for me, I really understand things in a visual format. Then we have method. We have a vision transformer VIT that describes the architecture, which is 4 main equations, because remember, machine learning models and PyTorch neural network layers and all that sort of jazz behind the hood are running some sort of mathematical function. We have a whole bunch of different sections, experiments, setup, what data sets we use, what hyperparameters we used. Now, there's a lot of information here. And so what you need to, and I'm going to stress this throughout the course, is that this was written by 12 researchers. So some of the smartest people in the world collaborated to create this research paper. So it makes sense if for the first time, I've read this about half a dozen times now, and there are still some things that I don't understand. So for your extra curriculum for this video is to read through this once. It may take you a couple of hours when you first begin, but if you're interested in getting involved in machine learning research, you're going to be reading quite a few of these. And it takes a bit of practice to begin with, but once you practice like anything, you get better and better. So with that being said, we've looked at one single paper, but let's get a high-level overview of the anatomy of a research paper, and in fact, many other kinds of scientific papers. So we might have a number of different sections here, and what each of those sections contains. Often, machine learning research papers and other scientific papers will begin with an abstract. Now, there might be different names for these, but I've just chosen some of the most generic ones and the ones that I've personally used and the ones that I'm most familiar with. So we have an abstract, which gives an overview summary of the paper's main findings and contributions. An introduction. What's the main problem? In our case, for the vision transformer, it might be image recognition. So if we go back, for image recognition at scale, in other words, image classification, just like what we're doing with Food Vision Mini. So if we come back here, we have method, or in the VIT transformer paper, it says experiments. So what steps did the researchers take? This is a lot like a cooking recipe. What's the method to reproduce the dish? What's the method to reproduce the machine learning research findings? What were the results? Did the paper achieve better than other similar papers? Or did it find something new? What's the conclusion? So what's the next direction for research? If the research was to inspire other research, where should we look next? References. So machine learning research papers, and in fact, a lot of scientific research in general, is built off the basis of previous scientific research. So if we look here, these are all the references that the Vision Transformer paper is quoting. So these are all research papers in themselves. So there's about, well, maybe 50, 60 odd other research papers that this research paper has borrowed ideas from. So if we see here, there's one here. In the model design, we followed the original transformer, Vaswani et al. 2017. Now this is, I believe, the Attention is All You Need paper. So if we have a look at this, this is a little bit of a treasure trail you can start to go down once you get familiar with machine learning research and how it's published. Attention is all you need. Now, did this introduce the transformer? Here we go. We propose a new simple network architecture, the transformer. So this is where the transformer that you may have heard, the architecture is very popular at the moment, was first introduced. Attention is all you need way back in 2017, which is 5 years ago now. I'm recording this in 2022. So in deep learning terms, this is quite an old paper because things change quickly. But it turns out the transformer is very capable. So not only can it perform on natural language processing, it can perform on vision data sets. And so this one is a little bit more recent, 3rd of June 2021. So if we come back here, finally, it might finish off with an appendix. And in the appendix, you might have extra resources and findings to look at that weren't included in any of the above sections. And as this little asterisk says, this is a fluid structure, right? It's more of a general guide than a rigid outline. So you might find the names of some sections chopped and changed, and you might find that they might have extra sections, but this is pretty stock standard for any general machine learning research paper. And so we go to the next slide. So this is just that table we looked at before, but condensed. So if we just draw some colorful lines here and colorful boxes, you can see that the VIT paper, the paper that we've been looking at, has an abstract to begin with and then an introduction. So again, we're going to be specifically focusing on the vision transformer paper itself in this section, but a lot of what we're talking about, the principles of turning a paper into usable code and different research sections, can be drawn, or lines can be drawn from that to many other different types of machine learning research papers. Of course, the individual steps may be different, but the overall principles are much the same. So let's keep going. We talked about what a machine learning research paper is, but why would we want to replicate a machine learning research paper? Well, let's talk about that in the next video.